quote by a man named Bill Morsano. The British Empire was created as a byproduct of generations of desperate Englishmen roaming the world in search of a decent meal. I've heard a lot of quotes about English cooking, about how the way they cook beef is similar to how other people might make leather, that they believe that unseasoned boiled cabbage is a good meal just by itself. However, I have learned throughout my research that while that may actually be partly true, that is not the only part of traditional English food. I'm going to share today the traditional breakfast, lunch, dinner, and tea time meals of England. So starting with breakfast, first meal of the day. The full English breakfast, as is known, or also known as the full Monty, usually consists of bacon, poached or fried eggs, grilled tomato slices, toasted bread and butter, sausages, baked beans, fried mushrooms, hash browns, and then a mug of English tea. Other things that might be included in this hearty meal is English muffins, crumpets, oatcakes, or strawberry yogurt. One other thing that is sometimes included, but not always, is black pudding, which is not pudding as you and I would normally think of it. What black pudding is actually blood sausage, which is sausage that is colored black by the blood that is put in for flavoring. Other things that are common for English meals are just what you and I would normally eat. So like cereal, toast, eggs, or oatmeal are also very common for English meals for a lighter meal that they might have. So lunch and dinner are actually much the same things in England. Not the same exact meal, but they would eat most of the same things as they would have for dinner as they would have for lunch. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is bangers and mash, which is just a fun name to say as well. And what that is just a sausage and mashed potatoes dish that is normally covered in gravy. Another very popular English meal is fish and chips, which is a fried fish and French fries. It's just chips. It is actually French fries in England. And that's usually battered cod or haddock that is caught off the coast of England. And it is most of the time served with mushy peas, which is just think mashed potatoes, but as peas, where they just smash the peas up. One thing that I learned is that curry is very popular in England, actually. And the chicken tikka masala which is a very popular curry dish, was actually made in London in 1970 to satisfy the Englishman's craving for curry. Another thing that is popular in England is just lots of different types of pies. So like steak pies, steak and kidney pies, chicken and leek pies, shepherd's pie, and cottage pie. I actually have the picture of the shepherd's pie up right there, which is just a thing like with chopped up beef, like peas, carrots, all topped with a mashed potatoes. And then cottage pie is much the same, just topped with non-mashed potatoes. So moving on into tea time. So tea time is not actually a common thing like you and I would normally think of it. So I've heard stories of how every Englishman will sit down at 4 o'clock for tea, which is not actually true. English people just generally drink tea at all hours of the day. And tea time is actually usually just another name for dinner for most English people. So they would have it at like 5 o'clock and then just move on from that right into dinner. Tea breaks are common in England, but that's just the same as coffee breaks as in America, where they'll just take 10 minutes off of work to have a cup of tea, which they would usually have biscuits or cookies to dunk in there as they're drinking. Traditional 4 p.m. tea time with scones, fancy finger cakes, and macaroons as shown here is still a thing. However, it's just considered like a fancy lunch that people might go to with friends and family. One very popular dinner that I learned was actually the Sunday roast, which most every English family have every Sunday, which it's usually just a roast chicken, roast beef, roast lamb, or also known as gammon, and it also usually contains carrots, roast potatoes, and different types of roast vegetables, and a lot of gravy. One thing that's popular with this is Yorkshire pudding, which again is not a pudding like you and I would normally think of it. What this is a popover of unsweetened egg batter with gravy. I'm actually going to share with you how to make Yorkshire pudding. So you start out with 4 eggs and a cup of milk. In a large bowl, just whisk these together until it's well blended. You'll need 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil, which you will pour over a muffin tin, making sure that there's roughly the same amounts in each cup in the muffin tin. You put this you'll preheat the oven to 450 degrees, and then once it's there, you'll put the muffin tin of oil into it for 5 to 10 minutes. Remove it from the oven and then quickly ladle about 4 tablespoons of batter into each cup. Bake that for 30 to 35 minutes, and then serve immediately once it's done. And then just top that with gravy as much as you can. So in conclusion, you now know a bit more about traditional English breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you ever have the chance to go to England to try some of the food there, I hope that you can find more than some boiled cabbage and beef, and get to experience some of the finer foods that can be found in such a great nation. Thank you.